Hello and welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined as always by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good.
Sweltering less than I was.
Yeah, it's like in the 80s here now.
It was I think almost 90 today, but that's like a cold front practically moving in because
Well,
it was in like the hundreds, like
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
the problem here, I guess, and it's true for all of us because I think we're in the same like general, but like it's the humidity here more than it is the heat.
Oh yeah. It was beating us to death.
CDC can be bad about the humidity,
Well, because you're kind of
but
a swamp.
but that's more of a, I'll say, July, August thing. Like I just don't want to be. Last year it was the heat dome.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like the entire month of July, it was literally like 30 days of 100-degree days. It was 100 degrees every day.
Yeah.
And it was miserable.
Yeah.
But it's hot right now, but it's not that bad.
Yes.
So fingers
And
crossed. Like I think it's supposed to still be in the 80s this week, and then maybe go up to the 90s next week. But
And as much as Matt and I want to babble about the World Cup, we don't want to see Shad trying to crawl out that window behind him. So we shan't be talking about it that much today.
I could
I
slide
like
that
the World
thing
Cup,
open.
and I could talk about the World Cup because it's super exciting this year.
I
Well,
could
I wanna
slide
point
that
out-
thing open behind me and jump.
I want to point out that the disallowed goal against Egypt today was bullshit, but we can bitch about that another time.
They maybe wanted to push Argentina through.
And I also want to talk. I would also talk about how um, all the pearl clutching about the reversed American red card and how I think that's just because it's not a favored European or South American country getting favored treatment, and how Messi did the exact same fucking thing against Algeria and it wasn't a card. So I don't want to hear it. And UEFA pulled bullshit to let Ronaldo play too. So I don't want to hear it from all of them about how it's bullshit.
Look, I don't think certain political leaders should be getting involved, but
That's not the first time that's happened either.
no, that's not. And it's what a surprise that the guy that FIFA gave its purely created peace prize to is like, getting involved. But the thing about this that I find just kind of like a joke about that is that you're right. It's like all the usual, well, basically the non-American countries are like, oh, you're ruining the sanctity of
all the
soccer,
countries
the World
get
Cup.
preferable
And it's like,
treatment.
there's three like absolutes in this world that most everyone in the world, not America because we don't follow like soccer, football, or World Cup, but like three constants in like the world that people accept: death, taxes, and that FIFA is horribly corrupt.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world knows this. If you're a football fan from around the world, you're like, oh yeah, FIFA's like terribly
I
corrupt.
also don't.
But it's like when you actually see like low level corruption here, which is like, oh, we reversed like a suspension. Like that is small.
Well, especially
that is
everything else that FIFA
especially
does.
I was going to say the competition is between FIFA and the International Olympic Committee for the most
Olympic
corrupt
Committee.
organizations.
The Olympic Committee's worse. They've killed far more people, and screwed far more places. But I also don't want to hear it when like all of these like little African countries that got a little too feisty were becoming a threat of advancing too far, so they've all conveniently get goals disallowed, or hey, we're going to reverse this play. Oh, it seems okay. So we're going to go back like 5 minutes and oh, we found a penalty, because there's always a penalty of some sort.
Is Argentina like the only like Latin American country? I'm not counting Spain because they're European. Let me look at the standings.
I think they're the only one.
I'm forgetting.
No, Colombia and Ecuador are still left. No, Colombia is still left.
No. Colombia played Switzerland and lost, and that was a super exciting game because it was 0-0. But when full time went to penalties, Colombia had scored 3 goals, but they used all their kicks. It was like scored, not like didn't get the goal, scored, didn't get the goal, scored. All 5 of their kicks gone. And so Switzerland got
Yep,
3 of their first 4,
they're the
and then
last
it's like they
one.
can't.
They're the last
Last
one.
kick, they had to get it in to win. Did it?
That's
It's
a
like that was exciting.
that's a choke job if you ask me, because I think Colombia was heavily favored in that game.
Oh, okay. Uh, so we're looking at beginning Thursday, France Morocco. Bro, I'm surprised Morocco's got as far as they have. It might end there. I love if we just started talking about World Cup.
They got an easy.
um,
They had an easy path though because they beat Canada, who was lucky to get
Shaq
as far.
just gave up.
Yeah.
Spain, Belgium, Norway, England, Argentina, Switzerland. So yeah, like there's really only 2 non-European teams in it.
Morocco
Argentina
had an
and
easy path,
Morocco.
and I kind of think France has looked the best in my opinion. They have not like had a trip up. I know people are really hopeful England's gonna win, but like England is flying way too close to the sun. And honestly, like I know Congo was like a real pest and like really like
If
beat the shit out of like some superior
the
European teams, but like they are lucky they got past Congo.
the England Mexico game was amazing. That was like really really
Yeah.
good. It was really good, and it was heartbreaking loss for Mexico. Anyway, if England can get past Norway with the one guy Holland, whatever, who's like
Mm-hmm.
a beast, uh, then they actually, I would say, almost they might have a chance. I don't.
Yeah, they're gonna
I
run
think
right into Argentina, and like I said, they they're bound and determined to let them do whatever they want. And
so. You think it could be
I think
France,
France,
Argentina in the
yeah,
finals?
I could see,
I don't want
because the thing
Argentina
is
to
like
repeat, but
the problem is if anything's even remotely close with Argentina, every call is gonna go their way. So like you are gonna have to get 3 on them like as clean as possible. And
So I went to jump out the window, guys, and it's on the
yeah.
first floor. So
oh,
I
I
tried.
don't know. You could like accidentally like break your neck.
I could, but my kids aren't in bed yet. So
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. So we're gonna get into some fun, goofy stuff this week, but we are gonna start with our match of the week because part of the fun of digging for stuff for match of the week is sometimes you just pick some random match and you find a little treasure uh, buried in the annals of history. So what I found this week is from the November 6th, 1973 episode of AWA All Star Wrestling, with Roger
Hmm.
Kent on commentary, who I haven't heard much of before, but I really liked him as a commentator. He had that kind of like old sportsman um, feel to him. So this is Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens against
Crippler, the
Billy,
Crippler Ray Steven.
yeah, Billy Robinson and Red Bastien. Red Bastien, I don't think we've had a matchup before, but if you don't know who he is, he's a big star in like the 60s and 70s. He did like a lot of tag wrestling. I think his most famous tag team is probably the Flying Redheads with Billy Red Lions. Um, who Billy Red Lions also had a famous tag team called the Crusaders with Dewey Robinson, Robertson, sorry, not son, Robertson, who later became the Missing Link. And who famously trained Sting.
Yes.
for
Did he
some
train
reason,
Ultimate
I
Warrior
had a
2?
Hmm?
Did he train Ultimate Warrior 2? Because like I know Warrior and Sting were a tag team back in the day.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up. Let's look.
I know in the back of my head that was probably in there somewhere, but I had completely memory hold that the missing link is who trained Sting.
No, no. Uh, Red Bastien was not Missing Link. Dewey Robertson was Missing Link. They had a tag team partner in common in Billy Red Lions.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And
also
which one was the trainer?
Red Bastien.
Okay.
Red Bastien did train Ultimate Warrior with Bill Anderson and Rick Bassman. I don't know if those
Okay.
did. I don't. I think Stings just says Red Bastien. Let's look. Uh, Obviously, Sting turned out Rick Bassman and Red Bastien for Sting.
Hmm.
But they used to mention on like older commentary, Jim Ross would mention it a lot. But so this is an interesting match. So this is they do a bit of an angle to start with, and this is a 2 out of 3 falls tag. And I guess I was expecting a bit of a slower paced match to start with, and this was anything but slow.
It's true. It is not slow paced in the slightest. They keep their foot on the pedal for this whole time, which
I was
surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, the match it's a 2 out of 3 falls match. And the entire match is maybe
12
14 minutes or so. Well, okay, maybe yeah, okay, 12 minutes.
I think there was a commercial
And it
probably
just
edited
goes.
out of there, so it might have been a little longer.
It just went. It went
Mm-hmm.
like it was like all gas, no brakes. They just went at each other like the entire time. Like it was very refreshing.
Yeah.
It's a nice change because, well,
Well, I like that it was go go go, but they weren't doing like
Mm.
too much. They were doing stuff, but it was paced out well, even though they were going.
The other thing is that not that it's like anachronistic, but it's like a different style back then.
mm-hmm.
They're not doing like Will Ospreay like flips and hidden blades and things like that, but they still were doing like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they were constantly in motion. They were constantly like attacking each other, constantly doing stuff. Everything looked really good and crisp. And the stuff that like they did do that, people nowadays probably not blink an eye at it. Like, it kind of just goes to where the whole thing is like if you do something and the person sells it right
Mm-hmm.
and makes it look impactful enough that it's like this becomes like a thing. Like the first fall, I think it's what was it Red Bastien? Like
Yeah,
I think it was I can't remember if it was Bockwinkel or
it was Stevens. He hit it
Stevens.
on.
That's what I thought. I thought it was Stevens. He gives Stevens an atomic drop,
That was his finish. But I really
but
liked it though
it's the
because
pin with an atomic drop, and now I remember in the '80s at least, atomic drop was like that's like a transition
well,
move or like a comedy movie even.
you don't see
Yeah.
this you don't see it like this as much. You see it more like the Sting one, which is like the reverse. But what I liked about it is well, I like that he held Stevens up for a long time, but I liked how Stevens took it where he bounced off his knee and kind of just did a flat back bump, which made it look kind of like, oh, that kind of jacked his back up. Like he sold it really well.
Yeah.
And there's some other things I liked that they did in this. So, like, I liked that the idea of the tag wasn't kind of so cliched. So, like, if they came in to like break something up, the ref didn't try to immediately stop them. The ref would start counting, and then if he started getting close to the count, he'd be like, "Hey, get out of here."
Yeah.
So the guys were much more liberal about like, "Well, I'm just gonna break that up because I have like a 5 count or whatever, and I just have to get out of there." Or it was like, "Oh, well, they're doing something over there, like." And the ref might stop me, so I'm just going to walk around on the outside because the ref's probably not going to try and come outside to stop me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's legal for me to walk around the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll yell at me, but I'm probably fine.
As an aside, like I've seen AWA, but like AWA like 80s stuff, not like this older stuff. So I don't know if this is like they regularly filmed in this studio or something. But
They did because remember we watched that Mad Dog Vachon match from the 60s?
I don't remember that one.
It was black and white, but it was in the same studio, and I saw some other stuff from TV. I think they changed later, but I now could tell you exactly what AWA TV was in the 70s from the angle they're shooting it from. So I'm sure, because I saw some other matches and all has this, because the one thing I will say about this, I hate the angle they chose to shoot this from. Because they shot
it was an interesting angle. Yeah. The ring is like how do I put it? They're shooting it.
It looks like it looks like the angle NES games used to have, or Fire Pro has. It has a very video
Not
game.
quite. Like
It has
the Fire Pro ring will be like diamond dead center.
Yeah.
And this is turned and tilted a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like
But
you have a
you're
bird's
looking
eye
at
view
it.
of a turnbuckle versus like straight
Yes.
on.
Almost, yeah.
You're looking at it from basically like the southeast side
Yeah.
of the ring. Like it's kind of odd. But what I was like, I immediately I was taken back. I'm like, whoa! Like I felt claustrophobic because they're doing this, and the people are literally the there's like three or so rows of people of
Yeah.
fans, and there's like this much distance between like the fans
Well,
and
it's
the
because
ring. They're like right there.
they're in like a
Mhm.
TV studio, like a lot of
Yeah.
like 70s wrestling. So like where your local like cooking show would be, they're in that studio if you remember TV back from that era. Or like the same studio your news might have been shot out of. I think the thing
Right.
is
Oh,
they're in a smaller studio than like other like promotions in because
oh
like
yeah.
Memphis had some size to it like Techwood was a
Mhm.
fairly big studio. I've seen other ones, but this is kind of small compared to other ones I saw. Early Power was shot in a TV studio.
Yes. You kind of, if you've never seen like a TV studio for any reason, like you're kind of, you don't really understand. Like I haven't, for example, I know you can get tickets, but like I haven't seen like, I haven't gone to a taping of the 10 Night Show, but that's something that a lot of people can do. You go to Hollywood, you can get tickets, whatever. But I have done like tours of like the NBC studios. So I think I've seen where it's like Letterman did, his stuff or whatever back in the day. Like they're small. It's actually way smaller than you
Yeah.
think. Like because they don't really like they maybe will shoot to the crowd, but they do it in a way that you get
They get
confused. But
they
it's not like this huge theater.
No, they
It's
do
like
tricks
it's
to they do tricks to
yeah,
make, and like the Tonight Show probably has generously 150 people in it, maybe 200. Like, and that's probably way more. It's probably more like 100. But like this
yeah.
is so what you do back in the day if you don't know. I don't know why I know this. I think I was reading a guy talking about going to St. Louis wrestling. So what you would do probably most likely is you would send a self-addressed stamp envelope to the studio and say, "Give me wrestling tickets," and then they'd send you tickets back for whatever date they chose, and then you would go. Or if you had an in, like say your dad worked there and you were a big wrestling fan, you probably went every week because he was pilfering you tickets from the top. But that's typically how people went. And I'm imagining the regulars just sent like a letter every week saying, "Hey, I want 2 tickets" or whatever. But that's how
Yeah.
you typically went to the studio back in the day for useful information.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know how tech would work because that was on cable, so I don't know how people got tickets to that because I don't remember them ever showing like ticket info. And a lot of like Mid Atlantic TV and I mean JCP TV in the mid '80s, they were doing like a lot of like high school gyms and stuff. So I think people were
Mhm.
paying for that. But yeah, a lot of these probably before '85, and Memphis was a TV studio all the way through, but a lot of these were TV studios for a long time. WWE, I don't think ever was. They had like a similar venue they did until they switched over to Superstars and Wrestling Challenge, but I think it was like a small arena.
Okay. I that's one of those nuances of broadcast history that just does not stick with me.
Well,
Some of it I look at, oh yeah, they're in a TV studio that way. They sure are. Okay, cool. And then it's like, which you got me.
Well, he's someone Matt and I know through Opie and Anthony, but Dr. Steve used to work on a TV crew, and he was actually
Mhm.
on the camera crew for Mid Atlantic TV in like the late '70s, and I'd asked him some questions about it at one point. Because I think what
Ah,
you did is you
okay.
did that, and then you're at TV, so then you probably went like to another studio in front of like a green screen or whatever, and you did your promos, which
Right,
was
right.
you did your "Hey Boston, I've got a cage match with the Iron Sheik on February 11th," and it's like, "Hey Washington D.C., I have a cage match with the Iron Sheik on February 15th," because I think Shad mentioned it from one of Mick Foley's books, is they were doing those, and they went and got Dusty because he was cutting a different promo for every one of those.
Yeah, Mick was cutting a different promo for every location, and Dusty's like, "I think we can use you."
Yeah.
Because you have to admit, it's pretty impressive to have somebody do that, just because either because they can or because, heck, I don't know, because why? Just cause, I guess. But then here all of a sudden you turn and you look and it's like, I mean, because let's be honest, the efficient way to do it is just have your pattern and do your pattern for every one of them, and it's fine.
Yeah. Or if you're the Heavenly Bodies and Jim Cornette, and you seem to really hate Beckley, West Virginia, your Beckley, West Virginia promos are just talking about what a shithole Beckley is. I need to find that and show you that one because that one's hilarious. Because I think Stan's Lane's like, when I think of a puke hole, I think of like Beckley, West Virginia. And I was like, wow, there's some real animosity here.
Yeah.
And
something bad happened there.
And if I drive to like the Carolinas, I usually drive by a sign that says Beckley, West Virginia, and I always just laugh because I think about that.
Puke hole.
But this is interesting. Like I have to say, if we ever did like our favorite, like our list of like who we think are the greatest of all time, like I think, well, Nick Bockwinkel would be like top 10 for me, but I was like, man, Billy Robinson would be really high on my list because I don't think I've ever seen him in something bad.
Those are two guys I haven't seen a lot of, but I do want to see more. But I know Billy Robinson didn't have like the reputation, like he was basically he like Luthez, like he was a hooker, as they say.
Yeah.
He could legit shoot on you, and I think he trained like a bunch of dudes. We've talked about Bockwinkel before. We've even had like a couple Bockwinkel matches on. That's a guy that I do want to see more of. I understand like a lot of stuff is probably in his prime, like isn't necessarily out there, or it's hard to come by at least. But
I think
he's a guy.
He notably had
a guy
whose book was it
go
from? There was a book they were talking about training with the AWA and what a terrible experience it was. And he tried to stretch the Iron Sheik who was in this training camp, and he couldn't, so he had to like do something really dirty to get one over on him. Because if you don't know, Sheik was like a legitimate like amateur wrestling champion, so he tried to stretch the Iron Sheik, and it wasn't working very well because Sheik was a very skilled grappler.
Sheik was not a joke.
And he was like a bodyguard for like the Shah of Iran back in the day, so like he was not the person to pull bullshit with. That's how he actually ended up in the United States, was he fled the country when the revolution happened.
So it's interesting that someone, well, I say it's interesting. It's kind of typical that you've got someone who's like, oh, we got some new guys. I'm going to go out there and stretch them. And then you find out one of them is someone you don't want to mess with. But then they can't back down because, you know, there they were talking smack, that sort of stuff.
Yep, and Shiki was probably sober at the time. But yeah, I enjoy, Robinson did a lot of cool shit in this actually. Like his the side salto suplex he did where he kind of just picked, I think, Bockwinkel up, looked really cool.
Is that the where he got the second fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, he picked him up, and I know like enough about that. I'm sure Bockwinkel, helped, but he lifted Bockwinkel up. Like even if Bockwinkel's like, oh, you're gonna lift me up, I'll like, raise myself up, like jump. Like Billy Robinson clearly like lifted it, like not just like, oh, I'm lifting it, like he like up, like he was gonna German suplex him or give him like a really high angle Saito suplex, but he didn't do like that, which would have been like very like 90s All Japan. He would have been like 20 years ahead of his time. He did that. He like did basically like a backbreaker, like on like the thoracic spine, and then just like slid Bockwinkel down where his shoulders on the mat and got the pin. Didn't even like hook the leg, I don't think, but it was a really cool move. Like you could put that, you could put that in a modern wrestling, and this
I think
match is like
Roderick Strong
50,
started
50.
doing that for one of his backbreakers at the time.
Yeah, this is something like Roderick Strong could do now. People would be like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, that's awesome." This match is like 50 years old, like legit. It's from
Mhm.
73. It's over 50
Yeah.
years old,
Yeah.
and it still looked really good.
What I also think is cool about it, and Shad probably has some thoughts on this, but like, um, Bockwinkel and Stevens don't really do some interesting heel work where I think they do the proper heel work where you don't remember much of what they did because they like everything they did was in service of making Bastien and Robinson look really good. So all you come out of that saying is like, oh yeah, Robinson and Bastien did all this cool stuff, but then you can't really remember a ton of what they did because, like I said, it was all about making the
Yeah.
faces look good.
Yeah,
So
what? I'm sorry to cut you off, Shad. Was there a backstory? I would imagine like they were feuding, they were setting something up, right?
I did
Because
look it up, the title history because they kind of did a thing where you think they won the titles. It's not recognized, so I'm sure there was some thing or other. And at the end, they were complaining about the rest period between the falls that they didn't get enough time.
they,
But
I didn't write it down in my notes, but they did say something like they because Bockwinkel and Stevens were complaining, and they started off the match. If you caught at the beginning, like the promoter, they they were complaining like they
was
didn't
it
want to.
Wally Carbo that
I think it was. They were
yeah.
complaining like they didn't want, like they shouldn't have to like go out there and wrestle a match. And the promoter, I think was Polycarpo, was like, well, you signed a contract. You signed a contract last week to wrestle. Like you don't like that. Like don't sign the contract. And so they were grumbling that they had to, the unprepared face the team of Robinson and Bastien, who of course like beat them. And then, but then they were complaining afterwards because they did like 3 or 4 minutes of promos, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You had Robinson and Bastien cut a promo about winning, but they said something in there where it's like this. The promoter came out, I think it was Carbo again, but they're like, no, it's not a title change. Like, he explained why. I
he
think it was
said
just
it right at the beginning
yeah.
because
I think he said like this was like an exhibition match or something.
yeah,
It's
a
not.
title can only change hands in an hour-long, whatever it was, match,
Yeah.
and this was not that. And their response was, "Yeah, we know." And I'm
But
like,
but this is the classic, and this is like a trope that is used so often in wrestling, and certainly like in Japan, where it's like how do you set up a future challenge for the belt? You have like potential challengers, you have them like get a surprise or shocking pin on the
Yeah.
champion.
yeah,
And so it's like, oh, well then now these people are contenders, like they're gonna
They
get
still
moved
do
up.
that now.
They absolutely, it's a trope that it's like, again, they did this 50 years ago, it's still relevant today. It's still because
yep,
at the end of the day, wrestling can be convoluted. It doesn't need to be. It can be as simple as that. It often boils down to like, oh, these two guys don't like each other. Oh,
Yep.
this guy thinks he's better than the other person. If you want to take it from like a real sports angle, and this had kind of like a real sports, more of a real
Yeah.
sports feel than sports
Well,
entertainment.
and the
Yeah.
announcer helped a lot with that. But
Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah,
say though, you get in some massive fights with people online because they don't understand the dynamics of tag wrestling and like the pinfall because they don't understand that like the guy that gets pinned is the guy that gets beaten a tag. And
yeah,
that's how you protect people. And
yeah,
you point out like if you know like the promotion well, you know who's gonna eat the pinfall and like I and people will fight you to the death on that. Like because they say, well, see so and so like when Ring of Honor get beat by New Japan all the time, well no see like the Ring of Honor champion won that match with Tanahashi, and it's like, yeah, because he was teaming with like Toru Yano, and he pinned Yano, and people just do not get it because. And I would point out, I bet, and we've had this talk before, but I bet when Shad was starting out and he was in the tag team, he ate the pinfall 90% of the time.
yep.
And then I bet when you were a
And
little more established and you were tagging with the new guy ate the pinfall.
there were a few times where, okay, what are we gonna do? It's like, well, they need to go over, and I'm like, okay, and I'd look at the other guy, go, all right, you're taking the pin, and he go, well, but do I have to? And I was like, I ain't doing it. Am I being mean about it? Maybe a little bit, but there was this I'm not going to be, if we're losing to them, it's not because I dropped it. That doesn't fit with the story.
Well, especially like that, it would be like if you were like if the other guy's the new guy, it's like, well, no, if I'm gonna lose this match, then I'm turning on you afterwards.
There were, how am I going to phrase this? The one that comes to mind for me is I was tagging with a guy who was a perennial undercard guy. And he screwed something up and got pinned early even. And it was to the point of, because at the time I was using the ankle lock as a finish, and he got beat, and I was just like, what was that? I was pretty well done with him at that point also, for the simple reason that in the course of the match, we were working over one of the heels, and he grabs the guy and whipped him into his own friendly corner. And I'm like, what did you... And it's to the point, I look across the ring, the guy hits the corner and his partner goes and just tags in. And I'm like... And so whenever he screwed up and got pinned, and either he didn't kick out or whatever, I was just like, all right, fine. And I swept the legs out of one of the guys and pulled his foot under the rope and put the ankle lock on him, because I'm like, no, I didn't get beat. I'm still standing. I didn't screw up here, I was trying to preserve some heat out of it. But yeah, that's just how it works. If the only time that you're going to not have that particular wrinkle is if it's a team that's like the Bucks or FTR, where it doesn't matter which one gets pinned, that it's viewed more as the team lost,
or if
it is,
or if you're doing an angle with whoever pinned you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, people will fight you so much on that. It's like, no, it matters. Like, it, like, if you see like a jobber team up with an established guy, like on an old show or whatever, you know who's going to eat the pinfall. Like, it's pretty predictable. Like, I don't.
Oh yeah. Like, this is coming for you. Hope you
yeah,
make the most of it.
I also like, there are some other little wrinkles that I thought were cool. Like, I liked if Red Bastien was gonna punch them closed-handed, he would do these like really short punches, and he would kind of use the guy to. Yeah, I really liked the detail on that.
I actually love those, and a lot of times when I've seen guys do it, it's been heels doing it to faces, because it is almost like you're trying to hide from the ref, and it's always like, and he did this too in the match, where it'd be like you get the guy in a headlock, and it would just be like really short punches, and I like the punches, and there was a lot of very basic offense to this, but it worked because the guys sold it well and they made it look impactful, as simplistic as it was.
And he had a lot of fire when he was doing stuff.
Big meaty, fists, just punching the guy, even just like a foot away, just like wailing into him.
Well, I like
his drop kick's really good.
Yeah, and I like the dynamic of Robinson was like very methodical and would do stuff, but like Bastien was very like, I'm gonna go 50 miles an hour and just jack you up with all this stuff because
he was explosive. He was explosive, and like chronologically wise, I think he's probably like in his early 40s.
Yeah, because I think he'd been around since the 50s and he was kind of winding down.
Yeah,
because he was doing a lot of tag stuff, and I think this was probably towards the end of his like run there, because so there was some sort of issue, because I looked up the title history, and Bockwinkel and Stevens dropped it at one point to Vern and Billy Robinson, and then they later dropped it to the Crusher and Red Bastien. So they must have had issues with both of them throughout this era.
Yeah. I like Bastien wearing like the singlet. I almost feel like if I had ever become a wrestler, like I would want that, like Andre the Giant. Like,
those are impossible to find.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yes, my last run, I wanted to do that. I wanted to have that single strap one. Couldn't find one anywhere.
You better ask Antonio Honda where he gets his. I would think this would be easy, because I thought that's like, if you wanted to be like a caveman for Halloween or something? Isn't that what you would buy?
The Halloween Express stuff, there's not a singlet to it. It's just like loose floppy thing you pull
Mm.
over. There's no.
And the other detail about his singlet that I liked is it matched his hair.
Oh well, yeah, it did do that.
Um,
Um, but yeah, no, it drove me crazy. I wanted the. Truth is, I wanted to be able to do the, because in my last run where I was working, I was just flat out taller than everybody else, so I was choke slamming people, and I wanted to be able to take the strap down for that, and because I wore a two-strap singlet for pretty much my whole career, and then it's like, hey, you don't take down two straps for a choke slam spot. That just doesn't
we need
that
to
just doesn't
do.
work.
Wait, I'll put it on the schedule soon. We need to do the Jim Cornette versus Cowabunga the Ninja
Oh God.
match. It's well, the thing is, it's a comedy match, but it's way better than it needs to be, and it's I can't think of his name. The little ref. Um,
Mark
Um,
yeah,
Mark
Mark
Hurd.
Christopher,
yeah,
Brian Hildebrand.
yeah. Brian Hildebrand is Cowabunga, but when they do his comeback spot, he drops the shell. Is a joke. It's stupid. It's way better than it needs to be because people don't realize like Cornette's actually kind of, for his lack of training and match time, he's a pretty decent worker. Um, I always compliment he has way better punches than a lot of people do.
He got taught by Bobby Eaton how to do it. Like,
Yeah,
he got taught by one of the best. So,
Mhm.
he bumps pretty good. He does the exaggerated like I'm not like a worker bump where he looks
yeah.
like he gets shot with everything. But that
Hmm.
match is like an opener on a show that's like a comedy match, and it's aggravatingly good. Like the the Charles Robinson versus
Hmm.
versus Gorgeous George match that's like stupidly good for what it is for two
Oh, yeah.
non-trained workers.
It's shockingly good.
Where he's doing
Yeah,
like
I know
all
what
the
you're talking about.
where Charles Robinson really, because I saw something else with him. His flair stuff is like so funny because it's so good and dead on.
Yeah.
And that match is also funny because it's just on a shit card where everyone sucks and like they come out to like people not being in it and then they just work really hard and get like a huge pop for the end.
I think the other thing that gets lost is the fact that Brian Hildebrand was actually a really good wrestler himself.
Yeah, just too
It's just he
small.
was too physically small. And I mean, that stinks. Because I hate that someone that talented bumps into that kind of issue. But he was really good, and then all of a sudden, what happens? He gets an opportunity to show it off. So
I actually found it was from '83 Georgia Championship Wrestling. Nick Patrick was getting interviewed as a referee on that. I'm like, wow, he goes way back because I was watching Southeastern Championship Wrestling and Nick Patrick wrestled a bit too.
I knew that he had wrestled a little bit, and I knew he'd been around a long time because people keep referring to him as the guy who's been around and seen it all. And then, of course, the follow-up joke. I know
Is
Foley did it once, but the follow-up joke was that Nick Patrick, the longtime ref who'd been around and seen it all, looked at what I did and went, "Holy crap! I've never seen that before."
he's
That's when he did the sunset flip from the second turnbuckle to the floor,
uh
and I see that spot and I'm like, "God, my back."
he's really tall too. Like because I've seen Nick Patrick live a
Yeah.
couple times and he's a pretty big guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if he was good though. I need to find that. Southeastern Championship Wrestling stuff is really spotty online, but I have seen him wrestle a couple of matches. Uh, who did he team with? I don't remember. I think they were doing some like young pup tag team or something.
I kind of figure, and this is going to sound like I'm ripping on him, and I'm not. Um, yeah, I kind of figure he probably wasn't that good of a worker to segue into the career that he had as a ref. but it might have been that he was just okay, but he was a really good ref.
Or it could be he was kind of okay, but he's like, why am I doing this for the same money and getting the shit kicked out of me when I can just be a ref and like get beat up less?
That thought's occurred to me too, because I'd been like, I could probably do some ref stuff, and then I went, I'm taller than like everybody else on the card. So how's this gonna work?
Maybe Nick Patrick.
How am I gonna do a ref bump? What'd you just do? Oh, you want me to bump? You want me to do a ref bump because the 5'5" guy hit me, right? Everybody in the crowd's gonna dump on that guy.
You could, I think you'd be fine if you were creative with it, because you could do a lot of those spots where you get like squashed in the corner under both of them, or you could do more
like it's got to be both of them kind of thing,
or like one of them lands on your leg weird, or like they miss and take your knee out or something. Like I think you could work around that.
That absolutely could. Clip the knee and down I go.
Or they do the guy ducks and you take a drop kick right, or a super kick right to the face.
Boy, you're awfully giving with my face in this scenario.
I'm just saying, Brad. I was thinking of ways. I think but I'm saying that's ways you could work around the height differential. They just have to take you.
I'm having fun giving you a little bit of a hard time.
Well, you couldn't take the bumps, or like you were like leaning over the rope and one of them did something and dumped you to the outside.
Remember, I have the physical bumping limitation.
No, that's what I was saying. You couldn't take the bump on that.
Yeah. So
but I think like taking your legs out would be interesting, because as a worker, then you could sell that for a while too, and that could even play into like I can't get over there to count, and
I go to try and get the count and collapse on the way, sort of thing.
Yeah, but that also works if like that also works though well, because if like you could do like the heel pushes you and you push them back and they're kind of like, oh no, I'm sorry, like
yeah.
Because I know Flair did that once with someone, as he pushed him and they pushed him back and he begged off. There was
the
one
fact that Flair begs off from a ref. That's just
but the Flair just had fun with that stuff though, and but I think that is true though. Like to a point, like a heel should back off from the ref in those situations to be like, oh wait, what am I doing? Like yeah. But yeah, I thought this was shockingly fun.
This was a lot of fun. By the way, speaking of bumps, Red Bastien early on did a bump that I've only ever seen like once. I saw a ref do it, and I was like, "That's an interesting bump." But he did a bump where like he gets hit by, I think, Bockwinkel, or maybe even Stevens. I forget who, but I think it was Bockwinkel. But he gets hit, and he like goes back, and then his head hits the top, and then it like hits every rope on the way down. Which
I know
it's almost like a comedy spot. And when I saw like it was a ref bump, ironically, I saw a ref do that, and I'm like you don't see like a ref just like do it's all, because it's always like Three Stooges like boink 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 all the way to the end. But I was like, oh my god, and I don't know. Obviously, that was like a plan, I guess, but it was interesting.
Yeah.
They're kind of, I think that's kind of like the old arena workers. They work big, and it really pops in the studio with the smaller environment when they do that, like big, like I'm doing this for the guy that's like in
the back.
Yeah.
See, that's in watching this match. This is not my preferred style to watch. I'll fully admit that. I started later on, and I like seeing more variety in it and that sort of stuff. But the thing this match has, as we said at the beginning, is that there is perpetual motion. They don't slow down. They keep it going. And I would say, minus probably your televised companies, you could do this exact match on any show and get a good reaction out of it. You're not going to get that off of you're not going to get that off of a televised show, because they're going to be used to more bigger stuff, I guess. But yeah, this match, you could take that that exact match, and I know you can't do this, but if you created it move for move and did that on a show anywhere in the country, I believe you'd pull people in pretty well.
Yeah, because I think why it would work so well is because the heels cheat a lot, but they're cheating just because they can, because they're just being dicks.
Yeah. And as you said, their cheating was not overshadowing the baby faces. It
Yeah.
was dirty and underhanded, but it wasn't, it
It,
it was dirty and underhanded, but it wasn't big and impressive.
yeah. The other thing I liked, I just like these. They're too low rent now, but I liked how the ring ropes actually looked like ropes if you got a good look at them. So when they would rake someone across the rope, it made it feel like, oh, that probably hurts really bad. Versus like the modern ropes, you're kind of just like, I don't even know why that would necessarily hurt other than rug burn. But that's like, oh,
Well,
there's great. Like you could see like the grain to it and stuff. Like, oh, that probably really does hurt.
so I'm going to tell you, um, from my experience, that it doesn't matter what the rope is made of. Like raking someone's face across it is not going to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and most places, I think everywhere except WWE uses steel cable now, because steel cable does not. When steel cable starts to go, you know it, right? It starts to fray, and you get the stray wires sticking up. You're like, oh, that needs to be replaced. Whereas with ropes, they could just go and snap, and there it is.
Does WWE still use ropes?
Yep.
They have a weird relationship with rings because I remember Jim Cornette talking about like when he like first got any like ability to change things, like the rings were shit, and that's like the first thing he did was got like upgraded all the rings to better stuff.
Hmm.
Got them better mats, I think better turnbuckles. I don't remember what else he said he did.
Well, in OVW, they wanted him to use ropes, and he's like, "No, we use cables. It's safer." Oh, we'll send you extra ropes, and that's what
Hmm.
like dumped Mark Henry on his head, because the rope gave away the first show they used him. He's like, "Put that in the trash. We're not using that."
Well, you can tell too, like there's some shows you'll watch from back in the day and they're obviously on like a boxing ring and no one wants to bump and it's like, yeah, I don't blame you, buddy. That probably
We've
sucks.
seen we've seen matches before where like there's been no give to a ring, and it's like how are these guys taking? Especially like I think I've seen like some lucha stuff where I'm like, how are you doing bumps
Yeah,
like on this mat where they
because
bump and it's like there's not even give. It's just like it's like it goes down like a sliver, and it's like oh that looks painful.
I think because luchadors like have that hint of machismo to them and they're like, I'm not a bitch, I'll do it.
Hmm. They'll do one.
Yeah,
They'll do one to prove that they will,
yeah.
and then eventually they get to the point that they don't want to crap their pants whenever they have that impact.
Mm.
But yeah, I remember him talking about how their rings were garbage and he upgraded all of them when he got like in the office, like the first thing he did.
Hmm.
Maybe they were
Yeah.
old. Maybe they just hadn't replaced the stuff in a while.
Yeah, I have worked in rings before that were wooden framed. Most of the ones I have worked in were steel framed, and uh, eventually stuff's going to warp and give out. It's going to be faster with a wooden ring than it is with a metal ring, but eventually you're going to need to do that, and or you're like when WWE makes a ring, what's under the mat is a obviously perfectly sized piece of plywood that goes there. That's probably, I don't know about what's underneath that. There's probably beams that crisscross there that it's on, but all the shows that I have worked underneath the mat, it's not a piece of plywood there. It's 2x4s you've got the ones that are notched in the corners. They go there obviously, but it's 2x4s across, because then whenever they bounce and they rattle against each other, it makes more noise. I could definitely see that stuff wearing out and being like, oh no, we don't need to use this anymore. Someone's going to blow out a knee running the ropes or something.
I kind of figured, like, as a worker, especially if you work like similar promotions, like getting in a ring and be like, oh fuck, it's this ring again, like, and then telling your guy like, don't bump me over there because that spot's bad.
Matt, you were about to say something.
How does some of this, like, how does it like keep cohesion? Like if it's 2x4s laid down, it's like, how are they like staying together neatly?
So I've seen it a few ways. The place that I spent the most time at, it was actually, they were cut precisely enough that whenever you put them down, there would be enough tension. Like they wouldn't be so pressed against each other. There would be enough tension, except when there wasn't, because we did have one show where one of the 2x4s popped up. So it's like this over the other one. And it's just like, hey, we are not bumping on that whole side of the ring over there. Nope.
No,
Not
well,
doing that.
that's like the horror story from back in the day, like in the late 90s, like Bulldog.
Yeah.
Because it was like 98, I think, because it was like
Warrior's Trap Door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warrior, and he took a bump and like he hit his
back on the door. Yeah.
He was never the same after that, and then
well, that's what started his addiction, the final addiction. Yeah,
the best.
He got like a spinal infection off that too, I think.
Yeah, the remedy I have seen most commonly to that, to keep everything together, has been a series of ratchet straps that go around that keep it compressed together. But if there's enough tension on it and one of them tries to pop up, the straps have enough tension that you're pressing against it, but it doesn't. If it's going to force all the way out, it's going to be catastrophic enough that the ring's coming down, basically. So
ratchet straps make sense because you can just run the strap on the top and then put the mat down, the ratchet underneath, or
like right at the edge, so you don't have to crawl under it to do it.
That would make sense because you could keep it at least close enough with the tension tight enough that since you did it, like, would you prefer 2x4s or with like a plywood? I almost would. I don't know. I almost would. I feel like a 2x4 would be sturdier. I don't know if I'd like.
I feel like a ring is like, there's an art form to it where it needs to be bouncy enough that bumping doesn't hurt, but you also don't want it to be so bouncy that like trying to move around is a pain in the ass.
Yeah. That was a complaint when WWE redid their rings, is that it was so bouncy it was hurting people's knees just being in it.
Like if you have like plywood, like first off, how thick is that plywood? And what are they putting in like supports? Because like, okay, what if I'm like 200-pound guy? I'm not quite that big, but let's say I'm a cruiserweight, whatever. Like I'm, well, now cruiserweights are really more like.
Well, the thing is, I think
I'm a smaller guy that I'm going up against like a 400-pound dude. It's like, man, like that dude could be if there's not support enough for that.
But by the time you get to
I could like.
Well, you have the mat. You have the mat though, so like by the time so you hit like, I think the theory and the physics would be you hit, and by the time the impact of your body gets through the mat and stuff, you've spread the impact out across like probably a bunch of those plywood boards, so that each individual one does not take that much weight of impact because it's been diluted out through the mat, and like the give that they put into like so that kind of like absorbs a little bit of it too. So I think
the 2x4 setup, what it does is that whenever you run the ropes, it kind of bounces and rattles. Now, what I was going to say is that I'm drawing a quick diagram. The ring style that I was most familiar with is you have your 4 posts in the corners, and then you have your outer frame, and then it had drop-in slots for the pieces that went across the middle here. There were these bars that went across there, and then you laid the boards perpendicular to the bars.
So it's kind of like a giant bed frame almost.
That sounds a lot like what you're kind of saying.
Yeah, and then that way, here's the thing. when the boards go down, they don't bend because they'll hit the frame underneath it, so they can't go too far.
Oh, so it's actually more like a box spring than like a bed frame. In a very general way, and how it functions.
Yeah, it's like slats on a bed frame, but perpendicular to the supports, so that they're not. If everything's facing the same direction and you get a lot of bounce on it, you're going to have fatigue the same way, right? But if they're perpendicular, then you're going to end up with the fatigue's going to be different, and the different kind of cross supports are going to give you a firmer or a better foundation thing on it. So, like I said, we didn't typically have, like for years, we didn't put ratchet straps on the boards at the one place I worked. They fit in there snug enough, but they weren't so tight that you were just trying to get it in there, so they could bounce and rattle. And here's the thing with it's wood, so it's not going to stay perfectly straight all the time. There's going to be a little gap here and there to it, but that also helps with the rattle and the bounce and that sort of stuff. Yeah, Vectron in chat's with us. He's following along.
So then when you were with a better worker, they tended to, I take it, worked in such a way that like you had more control of it over how you hit.
Okay, I'm just going to use me as an example. So for in some things, we would get to a point and I would just let you control yourself. For a while I used that jumping DDT as a finish, right? And once we got up here, I would just loosen up. Because we're going to land at the same time anyway. That's how physics work.
Yeah.
And I'm not like cinched up on you. We get down there, you land how you want to. If you're tucking your arms up underneath, that's fine. If you're flattening out, that's fine, whatever. If you got your knees up but you're bent forward, whatever. Okay, don't care. Or there would be times where I felt like it was my responsibility to make sure that the guy going down was taken care of. So whenever I would do, I call them scoop slams. I know body slam might be the technical term, but when I would lift you up, I'd get you here, and then I would move my hand to the back of your head to make sure that when you went over, I'm cradling your head so you don't land on it.
I thought
so like if you under rotate, my hand right here is going to catch you, and the rest of you's going to keep rotating.
Oh,
and
I
if
thought
you
that
over
was...
rotate,
I thought that was like the textbook how you body slam someone is they kind of went off of you, rotated, but you were supposed to kind of like cradle their head over to make sure they're right. You know what I mean?
So how can I put this? I can't remember where I saw the discussion, but somebody apparently got criticized. They said, "Oh, you do body slams the European style. What the hell are you talking about? Up, shift the hand, grip the head, and go over." And I was like, "Isn't that how you're supposed to do it?" But apparently not.
The way I would want to do it too, Shaq, because I would be nervous about because it's as silly as it sounds, like you could literally break someone's neck giving them a body slam wrong, because if you drop them like on their head, but if you do what you're saying, like take it and cradle their head, you like cradle, so you're tucking their head, so when you throw them down, if they get injured, like it's not because it's certainly not their neck, because you've protected it, like you've tucked their head in, you're going to drop them where it'd be like the flat of their back, all that. You're a dad, like I don't know if you ever body slammed your kids. That's
have I ever body slammed my kids? I wonder. I would do the same thing.
I have 2 girls, but it's like whenever I body slam, like I don't do it like that often, but it's like I play like I'm like doing it in a way that it's like their neck is like cradled, where it's like they're never in any danger, and I don't just like throw them down aggressive. I'm like it's like I'm body slamming you at like a snail's pace.
So here, that brings up a great way for me to describe it.
Yeah.
With my kids, if I did a body slam, It's up, it's here. I've got the back of your head. I'm pushing this, and you go. Okay. And then they're like, oh, but and then and then there needed to be variations, and there became the daddy bomb, which was a gut wrench lift, and I'd get them up here, and whenever I'd get them up, I'd put my hand back here. So when they go down, I'm making sure that their hips are leading or they're going flat.
I think Hogan did
What
the
did
head.
I call it?
Didn't Hogan always cradle their head?
Look, I don't know where that discussion came from. I just stumbled across it the other day. I should have bookmarked it or something.
That just sounds weird.
A power bomb, you're up here. I was just saying this to Vectron in chat. If you're up here for a power bomb and you're going down, whenever you start going, I would have followed you, but you're going to control the downward on it, right? Because if I get you up here and then just huck you, then I don't know how you're going to react to it. But if we're up here and you're going down, you can decide to shift your weight and like keep yourself curled or flatten out or whatever. When I do my kids, there's the Death Valley Daddy.
If you look at Nash, he always just dropped them. He didn't throw.
Yeah, the Death Valley Daddy up here, hook that head, push the pelvis up, and over you go. That sort of stuff. I felt a responsibility on stuff like that. And by the way, you ever want to ruin a good move, the Michinoku driver is a sit-out scoop slam.
Wow, a lot of that stuff is. Well, I figured with a lot of that stuff, like, especially when you get higher up, like,
yeah,
if let's say you're wrestling Jeff Jarrett, I'm pretty sure you don't have to do anything like Jeff Jarrett just body slams himself, and you just move your arms a little bit.
When I did that with Ronnie Roberts, like I said, yeah, I know I've told that story 100 times, but it just felt like I was moving my arms through the motion. I still switched my hand, but the other thing about it that I like from a visual perspective, so I got you up for a body slam. You're probably going to be up to here, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to be up here before you go down. The one time I body slammed somebody differently than that, I went to get him up and he shifted his weight on the way, and I didn't have the ability because I was just, if I moved this arm, he'd just drop. So I held on here and like leaned into it to make sure he landed okay. And that was just one of those things. It wasn't wrong. It was just one of those things that happens sometimes. But if I've got you up here, then I'm probably going to have my hand under here to lift you up, and you can be like, no, don't do it. And then I'm going to hook the back of your head, and I'm going to use that to snap that rotation if I want it to look really nasty.
There's an interesting Shelton Benjamin YouTube video. I don't know if it's still out there, but he was watching Hollywood scenes of wrestling, and he was describing how realistic they were, and he did the Hogan Rocky fight from Rocky 3. And it was when he like throws Hogan out of the ring, and it's nothing you would notice, but he stops. He's like, yeah, he posted for him right there. And pretty much when he went to lift Hogan up, Hogan put his arm on his shoulder.
Yeah.
For him.
You'll notice with a lot of scoop slams that the guy going up. Yeah. Here, perfect example. Hogan Andre, WrestleMania 3, whenever Hogan goes to take Andre up for the body slam, Andre's hand is on Hogan's chest right here. To post him up.
A lot of guys, if I remember from that Wrestling Secrets documentary, a lot of guys go also push them, like take their hand and push off your like leg, like push off your hip,
especially if you're doing a hip toss. Like the thing that I ran into with hip tosses is I could just do a standing front flip bump. I'd be in the ring and I could plant my feet and just do it.
And I know Cornette said the first time he had Bobby Lashley slam him in OVW that Lashley almost killed him because guys had just sandbagged Lashley his whole career, and like Cornette actually went up for him, and he did he almost like overshot because he was trying to deadlift him because indie guys had been sandbagging him.
What I had to do, because everyone was like, yeah, it's great that you can do that. Nobody's going to be ready for you to do that. So anytime you did a hip toss, you're going to see someone gets in kind of a horse riding stance, arm out, and you're going to see their outside hand on the guy's leg to post over. Because that's the way to make sure not only that the two of you are in tandem with what's going on, but to make sure that you get the rotation you're supposed to get. Secrets exposed, guys.
Well, there's a good that we did it a long time ago. That Raw episode where Nash and Jarrett wrestled, and like Nash actually doesn't do a lot, and it's Jarrett just running around the ring, like doing all this stuff like around him,
bouncing off of him,
and makes him look really good. He did it with Mongo too, but I imagine working someone like Jarrett, you come out of that and you're like, did I even do anything?
It was a night off, yeah. What were you gonna say, Matt?
I was just gonna say now I almost feel like I need to look at a video of like hip tots and just watch and see like what people are actually doing, like how the sausage is made, like look at that hand placement.
Yeah, it's also when I know people don't understand wrestling, because there's a lot of blown spots where they'll jump someone and be all like, well, they're just a shit wrestler. And I think there's an alpha female one where she went to do like a pile driver or a power bomb and she didn't have it, so she just dropped them to like let them control their fall down. And people are like, she sucks, she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, no, she's actually abandoning the move so they can save themselves versus trying to because you don't want to be it's still, I think, the scariest, other than the Viano injury and the Rick Steiner injury, but the one where Taker went to do his last ride to test, and they
kind of lost it,
and he like went into the ropes and like managed to salvage it, but that was like scary as shit.
Yeah, that one, I remember that one's like, you're looking at it going like, ooh, no.
There's also some cool stuff that you can find videos of, like I've seen Randy Orton and Undertaker do it, where they're laying there selling like they're dead, and they're getting ready to do something, and they're just laying there like, oh, this chair doesn't need to be here, and they just kind of kick it out of the way while they're selling, or they hook it with their leg and move it.
One thing that I always tried to do was that if I was on the mat and I needed to move, I tried to make it look like I was selling in the process. Because you'll be some people, they'll be laying on the mat and they're like, oh, I'm not in the right spot for this moonsault or whatever, and they'll like shimmy their way there, right? And it's like, I know why. That's why a lot of them look like that, Vectron. You're absolutely right. But whenever I did it, like let's say I'm laying on the mat and I'm out of position, I'd be like, I'd like put my hand on my head and kind of like sit up and then just kind of like flop back over, because I was like, let's not make this, I would do that sometimes, getting out of the way of something or something like that. So it's that was something that I tried to think. I'm in hindsight, I'm of the impression that I had a lot of little things right. I just didn't have all the pieces together because I started too late.
That was really something that was cool. It was the 91 Rumble. I think it was Boss Man versus Barbarian, where Barbarian hit his finisher, but Boss Man fell close to the ropes, and then he got his foot on the ropes, and it was like, oh, that was really smart, like ring positioning.
That's something you've got to get used to, because if you don't keep track of where the ropes are, you're going to hit something on them at a time when you shouldn't, and you're going to get hurt. You're going to hook a foot on the ropes when you're either trying to go up or go down, and all of a sudden now you're not going the way that you need to be going.
That's one thing I think American workers get wrong that I appreciate about Stardom and a lot of Joshi workers, is when they get in a submission and they're playing, they don't know where they are, they just start flailing their legs out everywhere, trying to get like a piece of rope to break the hold, especially if they know they're in trouble.
That was something Diamond Dallas Page did that I really appreciated. Is if he's in a hold and it's not got his legs tied up, he's kicking and throwing his feet all over the place like he's looking for it. The size of the ring thing, that's what actually did Rick Martel in, because he was taking a hip toss from Booker out of the corner, and they took an extra step. And whenever they did that, Martel posted off real hard and kind of hooked his knee on one of the ropes into the corner when he went down, and that messed his knee up.
And then Stevie Ray finished him off.
Yeah.
We should do that run one day because a lot of that's out there. We should just sequentially go through all of it because that'd be interesting.
The Rick Martel run?
Yeah, for such like a 2-month run, like that, it kind of is talked about in like those kind of what if scenarios. And it's like, and it was like a guy that hadn't done it for a while coming back and showing he could still go.
I remember when that happened because that's when I was a neophyte fan, and I was like, "Who is this guy? Why is he doing this whole smiley, I'm happy to be here thing?" And then my buddy was telling me, he's like, "No, that was the model Rick Martel. He was a heel in the other company and all that sort of stuff. He was of the opinion they were setting him up for a heel run. You know, he'd be the squeaky clean baby face, and then."
They would
throw the twist in the feud to turn him into a heel.
They were kind of teasing that a bit with Booker T at the time. Because they kind of did the thing where he did have like the temper.
Yes.
Because remember they did the thing where they pushed him through like the plate glass, and I think he beat Eddie Guerrero on that show. But like they were kind of like showing he had like some
some fire in there.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember more details about it, but
he has more matches than you'd think because when you take in like Worldwide and stuff, he did a couple tapings of those. So he probably had like 12 or so matches on TV.
Yeah, he came in and pretty much went straight into that television title hunt.
Yeah. Because he won it, and then they did that like. I think it was Booker T versus him, and then the winner had to face Saturn or something like that.
Did he? No, that was Finlay, I think.
No, Finlay was later. I don't think
Rick Martel won it.
No, he did. He won it on Nitro, and then he lost it back to Booker on Super Brawl because Finlay was in the spring when like Benoit and Raven were more involved with that.
I'm not doubting you because I know better at this point than to do that, but it's one of those I need to look this up.
Yeah, no, I get it. It would have only been like a 2-week run, and I don't even know if he would have like only showed up at Super Brawl with the belt, but I'm pretty sure.
He debuted on January 5th, defeating Brad Armstrong. Brad Armstrong sighting. Martel feuded with Booker T for the TV title. Did not win it. It sold out. Did win the championship on February 16th Nitro. His rematch with Booker T, he landed badly on a throw, hitting his leg on one of the ropes and tore an inside ligament of his right knee. Fractured his leg and suffered cartilage damage.
Yeah, because if you see the Stevie Ray match, he has a massive knee brace on.
Yeah, and then there it is, intended to be a gauntlet match, beating Booker T and then Perry Saturn. So, yep, Booker and Saturn worked it on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I needed to double check it. That's all. Like I said, I know better than to doubt you on that sort of stuff because you've got a better memory than I do.
Well, and I waste my brain cells on stuff like that.
I've been hitting the head a lot. I forget things. I might have mentioned it before.
So do we want to go into our side topic, which we've been kind of talking a bit about? I thought we haven't done one in a while. I thought we could talk some urban legends and UFOs and other creepy crawly stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because I think I had randomly heard it, but I heard the Jackie Gleason UFO story for the first time recently, or when I could actually remember it. So if you don't know that story, like he and Richard Nixon became fans. Well, when it became like friends, and they would golf together. And Nixon was president at the time. And so the legend has it that like Nixon showed up at his house like at midnight one night, and he's like, "Hey, I want to show you something." and like drove him 2 hours to some military base and like showed him aliens and then just like drove him home. I don't even
Well,
think he said this.
for slightly more context, Jackie Gleason was like obsessed with UFOs.
Yeah.
Like he even built like a house that I don't know if it was like his prime, but he built a house like shaped like a UFO. Like he
Yeah.
was a huge like UFO nerd.
And so, and now I tend to believe, and so people, there doesn't seem to be a lot of debate if this happened. Like people do think it happens, but a lot of people think like, we're like, oh, Nixon would totally do this as a joke because this is something he would do. And I'm like, yeah, I could see Nixon like, because he's the president and going to these military guys like, hey, I want to fuck with this guy. Like, let's set this stuff up and we'll just show up.
Nixon, and I don't know. I by no means a Nixon expert, but from what I do know, like he was a weird guy.
Yeah.
Like he
used to call,
obviously,
if you don't know, he used to call like, when he was president, he would call like NFL coaches about like plays and stuff and want to talk about the game they played the week before.
Yeah, he's a guy like he's actually like legitimately like incredibly smart. Like
Yeah.
From like an actual, I know like the modern people, if you look at it from the modern day lens of things, it's like
he's actually had a lot of, his image is rehabbed a lot over the years, like as a president. Like he's actually much more well regarded in this era than he was in his own era.
Because he was a corrupt guy and obviously like Watergate, but it's like that level of corruption is almost like quaint. Like that nowadays, like that would be like, that wouldn't even be like the story of the week.
No.
Like compared to nowadays. But that's what I was getting at. Like looking at, we were like so jaded through like the modern lens of things, but Nixon from a purely competency perspective, it's like that guy was qualified to be president because he was actually really smart
and got shit done. Like if you look at his presidency versus other ones,
good at politics.
Yeah.
Like, only Nixon can go to China.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he was well qualified to be president. And that's the ironic thing about like Watergate is back in the day, it's like he did all this like skullduggery and everything to spy, but it's like he actually won the election like easily. It's like you did all this to there's an advantage on an opponent that you easily beat.
There's a hilarious picture of him if you want to look from the 60s. Look up Richard Nixon California wildfires, and it's a picture of him in the 60s like hosing down his roof to protect his house, and he has his shirt and tie on. Like he has his like, he obviously took his suit jacket off him, but he's on there with his like nice shirt and tie while he's doing it. And I'm just like, what a king.
He's a really smart guy, weird dude though. Yeah. And I'm sure nowadays people would be like, oh, he was neurodivergent or whatever. And
no,
like,
he just, I think he was just
a dick. You know,
he was a dick. He was a bit of a dick, but I
think
guess
he was,
all that prep.
I think he was just eccentric. Like I know that's not a used word anymore, but
all of that is to say, like that context is to say, like it could have gone. I do believe like that he did do that with Gleason, and that you're right. Like the story seems to be like this did happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I guess the thing is, it could, and this is where it's like, again, not a Nixon expert, but knowing enough about Nixon because he was a weird dude and all that, it's like it could go 50-50. Like I think it did happen. So what was the weirdness that Nixon had this really warped sense of humor? So he's like, I'm gonna get this fucking dude Gleason. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna play the ultimate practical joke. I'm gonna like drive him 2 hours to an Air Force base.
That's not like confidential or anything because he's not gonna know.
Show him some fake aliens and be like, oh yeah, man, this is real. Like, man, this got aliens here.
And you don't think like someone
blow his mind, because that's the story. Like Gleason, like it blew his mind. He like not like, oh my god, like depressed him, like fucking freaked him out.
Yeah.
So did Nixon play the ultimate prank, or was Nixon such a weird dude that these were actually real aliens? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna show this dude like who's into it, like real aliens, like, you know.
Well, that's the charm of Nixon.
Like it could go either way.
Yeah,
Nixon's that weird of a guy. That's like, yeah, I don't know.
That's what I think is great about the story. Is like, yeah, like I could, like that totally seems like a practical joke he would do, and like he would have the means as the president. But it's like, I could also see him just being like, what I'll just take him
Here's
since
some
he's in
aliens.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Jackie, here's some aliens.
Well, and I can also see him thinking like doing that as a joke and setting it up, but I can also think like I'm just gonna fuck with him and I'm gonna show him actual aliens because that'll be funny as fuck to see how he's gonna.
No one will ever believe.
And some of the White House tapes, like there's one where he's watching football, and he's watching like I think the Redskins. He's like run the ball, goddamn it! And his daughter's there's like, oh, I'm sorry, am I holding up the TV, dear?
Yeah.
I like do it like just and like some of his stuff like talking about like All in the Family to like I don't know like Kissinger or something. Some of those are really weird. You'll be very offended if you listen to him though, because he had some not so pleasant opinions about.
It's very not politically correct language back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know. The aspect of the story that I've never. I guess I know only a little bit about the story. I don't know all the details.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it.
I don't know the detail. Was it like, did he allegedly bring him to like a base and showed him?
Yeah, he like showed up at his house. He showed supposedly, but this is like Gleason only ever told his wife. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's
become like this apocryphal story.
From my understanding, is he showed up at the house at like 11:30 at night, and which is like, come on, let's go for a drive. And he drove him like 2 hours to like a base. And then like the security guards, because he's the president, were just like, yeah, go in, which makes me think it's a joke. And then he showed him
set up.
He showed him something because the wife said he was gone until like 5 a.m.
But if he showed him bodies, was it like where it's like, hey Jackie, like let me show you, like they're under the sheet.
Yeah.
But there they are. Oh my god, crazy.
Yeah.
Or like, or it's only just like clearly, or like, oh look,
I think the apocryphal thing is
they're in glass, where it's like it's clear, it's like a dummy. They just put in like
I think the apocryphal
apocryphal
thing is I know is they just like walked in and he didn't say anything, and they were just there, and then they drove back and he didn't say anything about it.
Nothing.
Yeah,
that's
Jackie's
how. Like, Dick, what are you doing? Like, what are you showing me here? He's like,
that's how I did, which makes me which could lead credence to he's fucking with him but someone might be like, well, what did he fess up to him? Like, no, that's the
Why
humor.
Would you do that?
Yeah, that like makes it not funny.
Be the gag.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's like when people were like with the Ben Franklin and Titan Leeds feud, when people were like, oh yeah, did Ben Franklin lay off when he finally died and stop saying like his ghost was around? Like, no, that's what the whole joke was. Now you can really go in on him.
Yeah.
And he did, because Ben Franklin is hilarious. Ben Franklin is like my favorite historical figure because he is like and the other thing, in Shad's favorite anecdote about him is Ben Franklin liked fucking old ladies, not because he was into old ladies, just because he said
this on me, dude.
Because you bring it up every time, and it wasn't. His advice was
he was into that, or
no, they were better at it. They were better at it.
Oh.
They were seasoned in experiences. I think what he would tell people about.
My favorite historical figure is Cassius Clay, the Lion of Whitehall, who was his highest rank was as Abraham Lincoln's ambassador to Russia during the Civil War, and he was a staunch abolitionist in a border state, and he would give speeches about it, and then people would want to duel him for it. So he would fight them with a Bowie knife and would win. And he said, there's a story that when he and his wife got married, she had a former suitor that was talking mad shit about her. So Clay found him and just beat the shit out of him. And then the guy ran off to Louisville because Clay lived around Lexington. Guy ran off to Louisville and started running his mouth again, and Clay heard about it. So he went to the hotel that the guy was staying in and sat in the lobby for hours until the guy came downstairs, saw Clay, turned around, went upstairs, got in a bath, and slit his own wrists. And then he set up so that Russia would not work with the Confederacy, which had some dominoes with the European powers, and then had the Russian fleet winter in San Francisco Bay. Well, this is, because they can't winter, and they didn't have a Russian port they could winter in because they would freeze in place. So they're in San Francisco Bay, and there was a Confederate warship that went all the way around South America to go bombard San Francisco because it was leaning Union, and like, oh, we're going to teach it. Gets there, and there's a war fleet sitting there, and they just turned around and went home. Like, Cassius Clay was a bad man, and he was awesome.
I also have a fondness for Colonel Sanders just because I've learned more about him, and I guess part of the reason he became a restaurant owner is he couldn't keep a job because like if someone pissed him off, he would just beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah, he was a prickly dude.
And I guess his favorite joke later in life, because he would travel with corporate, and like he would travel with this like black executive, and when they'd go and stay in hotels, he would run in real quick to go up to the receptionist and be like, I need a room for me and my son. We don't talk about that.
I know that he would.
And he just had families everywhere too. I guess he was like a massive womanizer.
Yeah, and he got mad after whoever bought KFC from him changed the recipe of stuff. He would go into one and order food and then sit there and gripe about it loudly for everyone to hear.
They paid him to shut him up at that. But I guess before he got his restaurant, he couldn't hold a job because he would just end up beating someone up and getting fired is why.
Yeah, there's a story that he put up signs around for his restaurant, and some competitor went and pulled him down. So he went over and shot the guy.
Like, I remember
he was bonkers.
He was a man of like the 1800s living in the 20th century.
Yeah. He was a prickly dude.
Oh, prickly I think undersells it. But yeah, and like he had families everywhere cuz like I said, he
got around, and got around.
A lot of those guys are interesting when you get into like their actual lives, but
yeah. If you want an amusing thing about Cassius Clay to get a nice overview in 20-30 minutes, there's a guy on YouTube named the Fat Electrician who has one about Cassius Clay.
His stuff's good.
And here's the thing, he's leaving stuff out. I know this because my dad was doing a dissertation about Cassius Clay.
I think he's the one that did
and then they said to my dad when he was getting ready to finish it up, and they're like, oh, by the way, you have to learn a foreign language too. And he was like, you waited until now to tell me this? Oh yeah, you'll just have to pay for another year. And he was like, you know what? Piss on you. I don't need it. His words, and walked out.
I think he did
but he still had all his stuff.
He's the one I learned all the Colonel Sanders stuff from. I'm pretty sure.
That was in there, and the Arizona Tea and the Liquid Death videos he's got are fun. He does a lot of really cool stuff. So
oh really? What's the Liquid Death stuff that he does?
He did a background on the history of the company.
Okay.
And it started from him seeing the guy being in a concert, and he sees all the stagehand stuff are just drinking out of Monster cans, and he's like, there is no way that these guys are just slamming Monster all the time. And they're like, oh no, it's water, but it's in Monster cans. And he went, why? And I don't remember the reason, but he was like, well, hell, I can do that. And so he called it Liquid Death because it's like, if people are only willing to drink water out of a can if it says Monster on it, then it needs to say something like that. And he had one that was they've all got weird names on them, but he had one that was an Arnold Palmer, and the Palmer estate sued him. So he changed the name to Dead Millionaire.
The Dr. Pepper flavor is pretty good. The sparkling water is pretty good, except I can't find that in singles anymore because 5 and Below, which is a great source of getting them cheap, 5 and Below never has it anymore, which pisses me off. But
I've started dabbling into Liquid Death, which it's basically like flavored sparkling waters. When it first came out, it was like basically like sparkling water, which I don't really like sparkling water. But now they started doing like flavored versions, and I've been trying. I've been sampling them and buying some of them because like I'm like it's probably healthier to drink this than soda.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it. I really like the cola flavor, the Dr. Death, which is their Dr. Pepper version.
Yeah, I just had
It's
that
really
one.
tasty. I tried the severed lime because I looked online
I didn't
and they
like
were like,
that.
"Oh, it's like the Sprite. It's like it tastes like Sprite,"
No.
and it doesn't. Basically,
It's very
it tastes like Sprite. If by Sprite you mean you get a Sprite from like 7-Eleven or like fast food
it
place
got mixed with
in like
some
a big
Dawn.
in those big like plastic thing full of ice, right? And then you're out like running errands, and so you drink like half
That was an
your Sprite,
inopportune time
and
to
it's like there's some
freeze.
Sprite left, but there's also like a
I know,
bunch of
right?
ice, and then you go to Target or something, you're milling around Target for like an hour, and it's like 80 degrees outside, 85 in your car, and you come back and it's like it's melted. So that Sprite that was like this big is now like this big because
Yeah.
half the ice is melted, and it's all
Yep.
watered down, and you take a drink because it's like, oh, I'm thirsty, and it's like it's Sprite, but it's so watered down. It's like
Yeah.
a very it's like Sprite, vaguely
Yeah.
Sprite flavored water.
Yep.
That's Liquid Death Severed
I did,
Lime.
Yeah.
I
the
don't
Yeah.
recommend it.
the Apple I did not care for either.
I don't know that I'm going to try too many flavors because as much as I do like the two flavors that I mentioned, the cola flavor one, the Dr. Pepper one, every time I buy it in the store, which you said is cheaper at Five Below.
Yeah, Five and Below they're
That
like $1 to $2 for a can.
yeah, a can, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
but you can if
that's
you
more
get it for $1, then you can make a 6-pack for like $6.
yeah.
Like it's anytime I buy it in the store anywhere around here, it's like $10 or more, and it's like I could go in the store and I could buy like a 6-pack of beer for like the same amount or less than this. I could buy like and less even. I could buy like
If you
like
watch
Bud.
Kroger, if you watch Kroger like a hawk, do you have Kroger?
No, there's no Kroger
Oh
here.
fuck. Okay, well, I was going to say Kroger.
That's more of like a Midwest Southern
Yeah,
thing.
Kroger will put the 12 packs on sale for like $12 sometimes, and that's when I would get one. 11 or $12 if you had like if they had it on like the Kroger card sale, but well, that shot that theory to hell. I wasn't sure. I know Kroger is a Midwest thing, but you're kind of in that weird area where you do get some of the Midwest stuff. You kind of don't. You probably get Food Lion, or is that more Southern? You're muted.
Food
Yeah,
Lion?
yeah.
Food Lion's more
Uh,
southern, typically.
it is more southern, but there is like some Food Lions around. Not that many. You got to go like further out.
If you have Giant Eagle, Kroger just bought them.
No. Like I've been to a Giant Eagle.
Giant Eagle
There's
is
not really around here. We
so
have Giant.
Giant
Which
Eagle
might
is a massive ripoff where like some of the same items you can get at Walmart, like the exact same items, are double the price. It is expensive. But yeah, so I tend to think it was a joke, but we don't know. And then we were kind of talking earlier today about Slender Man and how that's kind of like lowered my opinion of urban legends in general. Just because um I'm pretty sure most people know, but like we actually know the origin, like exactly it started as
Yeah,
a
from
message
the
board
Something Awful
yep.
forums.
It
It
was
was a
like a
competition of let's tell scary story with an image.
and he was kind of a
yeah,
gag meme to start. Like he was a gag meme before there were memes. Is kind of
and some really actually very talented people did some Slender Man stuff at this point like years ago. I mean like when I say years, I mean like well over a decade ago.
like 15 years
They
ago
did like
now, yeah. Like
yeah, they did
2012.
Like
I know
Marble Hornets and stuff like
Marble
that.
Hornets did like a whole video series, and it actually had a narrative. Like they were actually telling like a story, kind of like serialized, like little mini movie that they were telling about. And it was actually it's interesting. It's pretty good, and people have done stuff with it, and that's fine. I actually think that's creative because you took this thing that someone literally we know again we could trace like where it was created, and it's no different. It really is no different, in my opinion, than like back in the day, like Wes Craven. You know, it's like, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this new like film series, Nightmare on Elm Street with like Freddy Krueger. It's like you created a boogeyman,
Yeah.
and back then it's like, well, I'm just doing a series of movies about this character I created. It's like, well, someone created this more, even like obviously far more, minimal than like a big Hollywood production,
Yeah.
but did this as like just like, oh, this is like a cool thing I did, and people took it and were creative with it, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna tell stories about your character. It's like that's fine and well, but then that particular urban legend it's
The
become an urban legend, and it's like it's not. It's an actual like
well the
someone
yeah.
basically a story, created a character, and now people made like a series about it, and that's fine and great. But then people are now like, no, no, he's real. It's like
Yeah, and there's a lot of
he's not
podcasts.
real. He's not an urban legend. It's literally like a
Yeah.
story.
And there's a lot of things. The problem is like there's a lot of podcasts and stuff now that because it gets engagement, they treat it like it's real and like it's a mystery.
Yeah,
And my problem with it and why it's kind of blackpilling me on urban legends is in 20 years from now, they're going to successfully memory hole the origins, and Slender Man is going to be like a legitimate urban legend, even though, like I said, that the origin is very clear of what it is.
It's a ghost story. Like so many things that have happened through history, it's another ghost story. And the fact that we know specifically where it came from is what makes this as different as it is. Because uh,
It just,
I've got a set of trading cards that are like Appalachian cryptids, right?
mm-hmm.
And this is all stuff that they're just stories that have been passed down. And
There's a
that's
Wampus
what
cat
we're
on there.
might be. You know what? Let me see if
it's
I can find them real quick.
the hide behind and the
I know the woolly booger's in there.
Woolly Booger's just a Sasquatch.
Yeah. Yes, it
well,
is.
usually I've heard wood booger, not woolly booger, but
Well,
it's
that's
the same.
regional.
There's
It's
the
So
the same.
weird
Smoky Mountain
Eldritch.
Gamecock, the
Do you
Flat,
have
the
the what?
Gardinel, the Boojum, the Old Crow, the Tilipto,
Is that
Pale,
is that
Lippo.
Germanic Eldritch Abomination? I don't remember what it's called, like the Flatland monster in there or whatever.
I'm working on it. I'm
Okay.
going through them right now. Spearfinger, the Behinder, the Left
Behinder sounds like
Unders. Sounds
Behind
like the what?
Behinder sounds like the hide behind, but I've
Yeah.
not heard of a lot of these. The hide
Um,
behind.
the Left Unders were coal miners that got stuck underground and went feral. The Cornies,
I've never
little
heard of any of
things.
these
Yeah.
cryptids.
The Tree Squeezer, the Headless Harp, Yellow Jacket, which is basically a swarm humanoid made out of yellow jackets, as if they weren't bad enough to start with.
Huh.
The Barbalo. Hey guys, we ought to go on a hunt sometime for a snipe. Mr. Sausage, Heart of the Hearth, and the Devil Monkeys. So that's a set that this guy made that I got from him, and it may be stuff that's different. It's different names for similar stuff. Like the Behinder and the Hide Behind might be the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, the Boojum, it might even be a specific woolly booger, because the Boojum is a giant wild man ape. So you know this does touch on something that aggravates me is the number of people that are trying to turn Appalachia into this cryptid haunted ground. It's like, stop it.
I
Stop it. Quit. Leave
I
us alone.
I kind of get it in a way of if like you're some dumb influencer that hasn't been outdoors much and you come to like Appalachia, it's a very if you're not used to nature, like Appalachia smacks you in the face with all the nature you can possibly see. Like it is an intense place,
It can be.
geographically. Like especially like West Virginia. West Virginia is an intense place, like with the mountains and stuff.
So one thing that I will say, because I saw that there was one of the Europeans that was in the country for the World Cup was like, I saw this thing that if you're in the Appalachian Mountains and you think you saw something, no, you didn't. Why not? What did I not see? And the answer to that is you saw a marijuana patch and you don't want the guy to know that you saw it, is what the answer to that really is.
And the thing is, if you do see a ghost in the Appalachians, it's probably a dead revenuer telling you to pay for your booze. So, and who wants that?
Y'all have haints in Appalachia. That's it's kind of like a southern thing, but
yeah, it's a haint.
Much of Appalachia is in.
Yeah. Well, oh, so I did 1 year. I did a costume. I put on a Ghostbuster pack with a pair of overalls and a trucker hat, and I told people, "What you got here is a Class 4 Viper. Around here, we call them haints." Now, the thing about getting rid of a haint is that you need to know what it is, because if it's your grandmama, I ain't touching that. That's on you. That sort of stuff.
I think what bugs me about the Midwest / Appalachian cryptids is they're always like, you got one of them Mothmans in Ohio? Like, no, that's West Virginia.
There is a Mothman.
Yeah, and he
lives in it's West Virginia.
Yeah.
It's just West Virginia.
Yeah. It's not Kentucky. Yeah, stop saying it's Kentucky and Ohio, because it's not.
It's not Chicago. I know Chicago wants to have something of their own, but it's not Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago has like lantern kicking cows, so you can have your cryptids.
Yeah.
But like I think other people that get into that, there's like, no, you see weird shit in the woods, especially when you're by yourself. Like, I've seen weird shit in the woods too. Like I said, I was telling you guys, I was in the woods once, and it was like probably a dog. But I saw the like end of it. I saw it walking away, and I saw a tail, and people were like, "You saw a bobcat?" I'm like, "It is not a fucking bobcat. It had a tail, not like a little stump like a bobcat, and it was tall, too tall to be a bobcat."
Bobcats will jack you up. By the way,
like
we don't need stories like that. We got stuff like bobcats that'll mess you up.
And if you're sleeping out in a tent at night and a couple of raccoons get into it, like, they scream. Like, it sounds like someone's getting murdered when raccoons fight.
I've heard, well, there's at least one raccoon that comes frequently, like at least once or twice a week in my, and I live in the suburbs, but I live like right next to like a couple houses away. There's like a giant, it goes down to like a giant storm drain, and that runs like through like a wide area. So that's used as basically like a highway for all sorts of like wildlife, like woodland creatures, because and the house, basically what was a house next door to me, which is like you can access that huge storm drain area. And by storm drain, I mean like you could drive a car, like 2 cars through the storm drain. It's that big. It's big. It's huge. That there used to be a house next to me that right behind it, through like the backyard, accesses that storm drain. But they blighted it years ago, and it's just like a wilderness. Like, a guy bought it and he wants to build something on it, which I don't want him to, but it's such a huge thing because it's in like a flood zone and a regionally protected area. Like, it's a huge mess, like building on it. This is all like backstory you don't need to know, but point is like it's wilderness over there. And so there's deer over there all the time, like literally every week. There's deer over there, like eating the grass, like eating the weeds and everything like that. They're really adorable, except for the fact when they come into my yard and start eating my plants that I paid like, money from Home Depot or the plant store. It's like, don't eat my plants. Like, come on, like eat my flowers. But anyway, there's foxes that come over there from there. But because of all this like wildlife that lives next to me, like I have a raccoon that comes in my yard at least once or twice a week, maybe more, and gets in my trash and like tears up my trash. So we've had to put like stuff on the trash can.
Yeah, that doesn't work. They'll just push it off.
No, they don't, because like they've pushed it off. So sometimes I've had to put like
you have to tie it. You have to tie it, and you have to use kerosene rope because they can even untie shit too if they really want to.
But because I have a little bit of experience with raccoons, like I can tell what they sound like. I can tell I hear, and they chitter. Like you can tell what they sound like. And foxes are different. We have foxes come all the time. And the first time I heard the fox like crying, they make like a weird sound, but they're called to each other. And the first time I heard, I'm like, the fuck is that? And I looked outside, and it literally like I saw like a fox on top of my fence. And I'm like, that's like a 7-foot fence. How the hell did you get up there? They can jump up there easily. It was like walking along the fence like nobody's business. Like it's walking down the sidewalk. And I'm like, and it's like walking along and just like probably starts crawling to its fox friends. But if you don't know what they sound like, that are raccoons, and you hear that, you're like, you're European traveler for World Cup, and you hear like a fox just start crying in the Appalachian wilderness, you might be like, what the fuck is this? What sort of demons
well,
did
there's
these like
also
rural Americans have in
there's
their
also
backyards?
some viral cryptid that's some like fell deer or something. I don't remember what it's called. And I'm pretty sure it's just deer that have that like there's a deer version of mad cow disease that's going around.
The prion disease.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's just those deers, and now they're cryptid for some reason because people are dumb and they don't know. Because like I read a description of it today because I was just reading about something. I'm like, oh, that's just a deer with that.
Like chupacabra is a cow, or chupacabra is a coyote with mange, something like that.
That the one they supposedly found. Yeah.
The photo that you see all the time, it just
Yeah.
looks like a coyote or a dog with mange.
Yeah.
Although let's bring it back, wrestling related. I remember I saw this on Twitter a few years back at this point, but someone posted a picture and it was like a drawing or like an art like artwork. It wasn't even like this is a real photo. It was artwork of what was a chupacabra, and to me the picture looked almost like a mountain lion type of creature, but with like weird lines like along its back, whatever. But the face looked very feline. It looked like a weird mountain lion thing. And Dustin Rhodes, old Dustin Runnels, actually commented on it.
Yeah.
And said like, oh, in Texas, like, oh, I've seen them. I've chased like them before. Like they're real. And it's like, Dustin, what are you talking about? But I can also believe it's like, well, that he's probably seen something. Now probably was just like a mountain lion.
He might have just been
coyote,
fucking around. Dustin has a sense of humor about stuff like that, so he might have just been.
He does, but I don't feel like he was. But I also don't think like this is like a chupacabra. Like I think you saw some.
They kind of like, if you go to Puerto Rico, they have a lot of tourist merchandise with chupacabras on them, but those kind of look like Captain Caveman.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of merch the one time I went. Yeah, I do. There's some I think are legitimate, but like I think like a lot of urban legends, why I'm so black-pilled on it, is I just think now it's like, oh, like this probably started as LOL, Bill was drunk and got freaked out by a raccoon, and then they made fun of him for it for a decade at the bar, and that turned into like the Tiger Man of the Alps or something.
I mean, well, sometimes some of this stuff is like it's been urban legends, but it's like it happened like in the 70s. So it happened like 40 years ago or something.
Well, like
50
the hook,
years ago.
The hook on the car is like from the 50s.
Yeah. It's like old stuff that maybe something weird did happen that could have been, or most likely was, like a misidentification of something. But it happened like 50 years ago, and it happened over like a weekend. And it's then now entered like pop culture consciousness that it's like, oh, it's urban legend of this, and that's how you get like the Tiger Man of Appalachia. It's
well,
like,
it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to
like
be.
They probably saw like a weird mountain lion like
Yeah.
one weekend that shouldn't have been where it usually is.
It doesn't even have to be that though. I mean, we have stuff we have good data on to know it's not true. Like the War of the Worlds broadcast, like it freaked some people out, but the way it's sold, like if you look, it went up against like a well-established radio program, and like I think the Nielsen ratings are like 2% of the listening audience actually listen to it. And
Mhm.
so they think they have like record, I think, of about 2,000 complaints and or reactions to it. So and the crazy like packing the car up and leaving, it was a lot of like calling the police and being like, "Hey, is this real or not?" And I think
Mhm.
what people don't realize at the time is Orson Welles' voice was well known. It would have given them away because he's already the Flash. The other thing you have to realize is Orson Welles was not blackballed. It made him a bigger
Mhm.
star. And the other thing is Orson Welles, the more I've learned about him, is one of the most old school carny motherfuckers you've ever met,
Mhm.
and he would absolutely talk that up more than it was because
Yeah.
no, he is like if you read about Orson Welles, like he is the carniest of carnies and like proud of it. Like if you had met him in public and you told him to his face he was a carny motherfucker, he probably would have laughed and just said like, "Oh yes, I am." And
I'm
his.
looking for something.
But yeah, that's a good example of like a modern one. It came from like a newspaper article that made it sound like it was a bigger deal than it was.
Okay, I wasn't sure which show, but there is, and it's going to be 44 years old at this point. But the Billy Crystal Comedy Hour had John Candy as Orson Welles as a gag on it, and he walks out there to do something, and it's like it's kind of like one of the Newhart phone calls where he's responding to something that nobody else hears. It's like, no, I'm on my mark. Yes, I am. I'm on my mark. Then move your damn camera. I'm not moving.
I know that when he worked on Transformers, they asked him about the what he thought about those outtakes being out there. And I guess his reply was like, "Oh, I love it because people know to be intimidated before I get there."
Crisp coating.
And there's a good interview like where he's talking to Andy Kaufman about Taxi,
Mhm.
Okay.
and I guess he was a big Taxi fan. And then
I
Andy
believe it.
Kaufman was scared to speak because he's complimenting him about all this stuff.
Yeah. That
I
could
just like
that
the
yeah.
my favorite part of the tapes is like how do you say that? Like that's impossible. Like show me how to say that and I'll go down on you.
Yeah.
Or the outtakes from the wine commercial where he's just drunk as a skunk and he can't do it.
Which apparently that happened quite a bit.
He was a man of lavish tastes, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, a little bit.
Also, you could listen to that War of the Worlds broadcast. It's pretty easy to find. And it also, if you listen to it, it kind of also shatters the myth of it too when you actually
Yeah.
hear it because it's kind of like, oh, I can see how this might freak someone out coming halfway in, but like, yeah. I was trying to think. There's some other one that's like urban. Well, the Bermuda Triangle. That one's kind of died off, but we know that's not like really.
And when I was a kid, like that was like this big thing. Oh, the Bermuda
Yeah.
Triangle. It's like you never hear about it anymore.
Because they found out like it's just I don't even think it's that many extra ships go missing there, and it's just like weird, like it's like a weird like weather tunnel. I've flown
Yeah.
through it twice. I'm still here. I guess
Mm.
Amelia Earhart could kind of be one because we kind of know what happened there, kind of don't.
We just don't know exactly where she went down.
Yeah, they have a
But
good approximation, I think.
yeah.
Do you think that she just crashed, or do you
They
think
did.
like the
I think
some of the
they.
urban legend about that, where it's like got captured by like Imperial Japanese and they
No, I
executed
think
her?
they're pretty sure she crashed in the ocean at this point, I think. Or they made it to the one island and died pretty quickly. But they've
Yeah,
never
I think
found evidence of any of it.
I
Mm.
thought they had found
It wasn't her,
some
the foot or whatever.
no, like some plane wreckage or something.
Oh yeah, but I think that would have supported like the ocean crash.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I read about it recently, but it's pretty But I don't think the one thing. I don't think that would have happened because I think she was well known enough. They would have.
They would have known who they had.
Yeah, and used that for something.
Yeah, probably.
But is there any? I know the Dovar Chew is always our favorite, which is King Otter.
Doarku,
Yeah.
which remains one of the few cryptids that actually like allegedly existed, because there's a tombstone somewhere like in Ireland that says that a woman got killed by a Doarku.
I mean,
I can believe that they existed as some sort of species of like giant otter.
I mean, otters can be pretty mean, so she could have just been killed by a roving pack of otters.
Like I can believe that there was some sort of extant giant otter species in the British Isles, of which Ireland is part of it, or you know, sort of related. I can believe there was some sort of giant otter species, and by giant I mean like, does it have to be like man-sized or
A
bigger?
German
It could
Shepherd.
be like,
It could be German Shepherd
yeah,
sized.
yeah, like a dog-sized one. A dog-sized otter, especially if it's aggressive, like that could potentially kill a human being.
It could just be. Well, it doesn't even have to be a species.
Yeah.
There could have just been some freak one that like got really big for like some weird genetic mix-up, and like people, it just caused trouble because it was a giant otter with otter intelligence.
I mean, it sounds like, if you hear about with the Doarku, that it probably had like 4 limbs and like could move around, which sounds otter-like, versus like it's a type of seal.
Yeah.
Because seals, like, they have flippers, like they don't. But
Well,
I mean,
sea lions have a little more. I wouldn't say 4 limbs, but they're not as like they have more like dexterity with their limbs than like a seal would.
or like a walrus or like elephant seal. But leopard seals, like they have like huge fangs and they can do damage. Like, but I don't think it was. I'm saying like I don't think it was a seal. It's probably more like a. I can believe that the Doarku actually existed,
Yeah.
and was like a big, like an otter species that could have, back in the day, hurt this person that allegedly died by a Doarku.
Maybe
So
Neil.
I know,
maybe Neil was up to some no good in another country before his Australia antics.
I know
one?
that.
Ned the Seal.
Neil. He's
Neil,
like a he's
Neil.
like
I
a
know he's
Neil. Yeah, there's problems this year because he got popular last year, so idiots are going over there and like approaching him and stuff. Like a seal wouldn't kill you.
So
he's like caused like thousands of property damage, which it's like if the small like town that he lives in wants to accept that, that's fine. But I've heard the sad story. It's like maybe because of this tourism, that they're like, oh, we may have to euthanize him.
Yeah, because they're gonna.
It's like that's unfair to the animal. If it's like, because he became viral, now you're having tourism and like people are like, oh, I want to go up take my picture with him. It's like, it's a wild animal, okay?
Yeah.
Even the locals will like, they'll be like, Neil, why? Like they'll call out to him like, Neil, like, why are you doing that? But they're not like getting up to him.
Yeah.
It's like they're just giving him space. So I don't know. People ruin things.
So the thing I was going to throw in there, by the way, about otter stuff, is that there is a species of large otter in South America. I think they hang out in the Amazon. And apparently, locally, they call them river wolves because they are nasty little bastards. So it kind of seems to me that, look, it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody could have been like, oh, look what I've got. I brought this back from wherever, and then it gets loose because it's more than they can handle. Just like the
Loveland frog, I think, was like one.
Oh no, the beast of the French whatever. Beast, yeah.
Javadine or whatever. Like,
yeah, that one. The description matches up to a young lion that had its mane fall out. Like a young lion that got mange.
Yeah.
I know the one I know the one you're talking about, and it actually, whatever it was, or it could have been more than one, that it claimed like a few dozen. It wasn't like it killed like a couple people. There's like a lot of people that died over the course of like 2-3 years. I've heard that. I've heard
Well,
like it could be a lion. I've heard, which to me like sounds more plausible, that it could have been like a hyena, which it's possible like the aristocracy there, or somebody like a noble,
yeah.
like was traveling to Africa, could have brought back like an exotic animal and then like let it go, and it
Yeah.
So
just that's how it existed. But it sounded almost like a hyena type of like the way they described it,
there
which
are
hyenas can be
stories.
aggressive. Yeah.
There's the I listened to a guy who I have no reason to actually doubt. Um, do a breakdown on that story. And one of the earliest stories was that it went after a group of kids, and the kids banded together and managed to run it off before it killed any of them. But the description was pretty consistent, which is why he came. Um, he favored the lion theory. Also, he also referenced stories about man-eating lions in other parts of the world that once they get a taste for that sweet, sweet long pig, they tend to just kind of stick to it
Well, some
because
of it too is also like the two in Africa that the movie was based on.
Mhm.
A lot of them
The lines
also,
of Zabo, I think,
yeah,
was the pair. Yeah.
which is a story in of itself. Like I think the movie actually had to tone that down because it wasn't believable, like some of the shit that happened. But a lot of them also start eating people because they get sick or they break a tooth or suffer some
Yeah,
other injury. So they have to become opportunistic and start taking what they can get. Because I think
yeah,
that what was it? That leopard in India that killed like hundreds upon hundreds of people had like a broken tooth or something. Or no,
yeah,
no, that one was different. That one, there was a war and it was eating the dead people, and then it was like, oh, okay, these are easy. So then it started
yeah.
going after living people.
So whenever you have a big cat that ends up becoming a man eater, it's kind of like a dog that kills chickens. It ain't gonna stop. It's gonna keep doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah. That since I mentioned hyenas, like that's actually been documented. Like I think, and obviously this is like the awful things that humans do to each other, like contributes to this sort of other issues. But like the whole like Rwanda genocide, or one of the other multiple genocides that have happened in Africa.
Mhm.
Uh, Hyenas don't generally prey on human beings, but to the extent that you've had like documented instances of hyenas preying,
Yeah.
uh, things like the Rwanda genocide or other horrible massacres, there have been documented cases where like hyenas start preying upon human beings because
it's
they're
easy.
already like human corpses that they just scavenged.
Yeah,
So they, lack of a better way to put it, as horrific as it is to describe it this way, like they ate carrion, which was a human corpse,
Yeah.
and then they just like started preying upon humans because like, oh, like look, this is like an easy source of food. So
yeah,
they started preying
Yeah.
upon
and the
humans, but it's
reason
not their natural.
no,
It's not their
They
and
come to the
natural
conclusion
inclination.
humans are food shaped.
and
Yes.
it also the other reason that that doesn't happen, like you don't get a problem of big cats just deciding like in mass to eat people, is because we kill the ones that do that so they cannot like
Yeah.
produce more man eaters, is
Mhm.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one were you talking about? That which one was
The
the line?
beast of somewhere in France.
Gavadin,
What
Jevadine, or I don't know how
Yeah,
to pronounce it.
Javandine.
okay,
I'm not good with.
what time frame was that one?
Oh,
Oh
give me
God,
a second, and I
decades
can look
ago,
it up and tell you. Give me just a
centuries
Well, I
ago.
second.
know that the lions were like the 20s or the 30s, and then the leopard in India was about that time frame. No, that might have been like the late 1800s, early
Beast
1900s.
of Gévaudan.
No, actually, the leopard in India.
1764.
Okay, the
Hmm.
leopard in India, I think actually might have developed that because of a plague. I think that's what might have happened with the one in India.
Maybe so.
I don't remember what that one's called. There's like an R in there somewhere.
But yeah, the Beast of Gévaudan is the one in question, and it's just like, uh, yeah, it's after hearing the written descriptions that people had, and then I went to go look, because I'm like, all right, uh let's go look. And I'm like, oh yeah, that sure looks like a lion missing mane, like
Did
a juvenile male lion. Yeah,
did
that
they
that
ever did they ever bring it down, or did it just kind of probably die and
it just kind of vanished.
They, if I recall, like they did kill something,
Yeah,
um, whether it was that or something else, but they did kill something that they actually even like took the body because it became such a thing that I think even like the king of France, the aristocracy was like, I'm gonna commission hunters to go catch this thing because it's causing a problem.
yeah.
And something was killed, uh, an actual animal, whether it was that or something else, like an
like
actual
Jaws, where
wolf,
they got the
whatever. But
wrong shark.
yeah, but they, if I recall the story, like they were bringing it back to the king, but it was like it's not like it's like this is far beyond even the invention of cars. So it's not as like, oh, it took us like a
Yeah.
couple hours to drive there. It was like traveling to like the capital of France from like the countryside to been like, oh, we'll see you in like 4 or 5 weeks. They had travel,
Yeah.
and between that time, like the corpse like rotted. So whatever it was, like was
The
unusable or unrecognizable.
the
So
examination of whatever they killed was a big wolf.
yeah,
So, or big wolf, and I'm going to read the quote here off the Wikipedia page: wolf dog.
I could see it being a
But
wolf too.
I mean, folks in that time period would know what wolves were,
Yeah, that's true.
and they'd be like, "Oh, this didn't look like a wolf." Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In the film, okay, yeah, and that's what Brotherhood of the Wolf was based on. And in the film, the beast is a lion dressed in armor. So,
yeah. I think was it Eggers who did do The Witch, like his movie that's coming out this year, Werewolf. I think it was inspired by
Well, it might be.
the story. It seems to
Okay.
be. Like whether it's actually, I don't know it's actually based on that, but I think it seems very inspired by
The
it.
Witch is a good movie.
The Witch is a really good movie.
I don't think it's
Very
particularly scary, but I think the atmosphere is like is the scariest part of that movie, because I think they really capture what it probably felt like to live in that era.
it it is an absolutely disturbing. It's one of the best horror films I've seen in the last like 20 years, and it's because is it particularly scary? Like no, most horror films I don't feel are
Yeah.
like scary. But I also would say like this is a scary film because it's actually legit disturbing
You can
and
kind of
creepy.
I can kind of after I watched it, I'm like, because it does capture, I think, what it felt like to live in that era pretty well. And I was kind of like, yeah, I can see why people thought there were witches in Salem, because shit was freaky.
Hmm.
Yeah, the thing that really set the tone for me about the Salem stuff was being around a New England forest in winter. That is a dire environment to be in. Like,
Hmm.
you're under the impression like, wow, everything sucks, and it wouldn't surprise me if everything out there past the edge of town wanted to kill us.
Yeah.
So,
And they're probably
yeah.
bored. And they were listening to, it was really just teenage girls causing a lot of the issues with that. It's an interesting story though.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But I think that is it for this week. I do not know what we're going to be doing next week. I think we have vacations coming up at some point, but we'll figure that out. So that is it for this week. Thank you for joining us as always. This has been Matt, Shad, and Brad. We've been in 3 corners, and you've been in the fourth. I almost said that wrong, but thank you for joining us as always, and we will catch you next time.